Alright boys, so at the end of July to around the middle of August, I grew my account around 17%. Now obviously that's nothing crazy, but it's pretty decent in the middle of a bear market, so I want to go into every single trade I took during that time frame so we can look at the things I did right and see the things that I did wrong, and there is a lot of things I did wrong. Could have been much better. At the end of the video, I'll show you my batting average for this time, my average gain and loss, so stick around to the end. Now let's go. And the first trade to kick off this good kind of 3 weeks that I had was SIGA. Now I've already reviewed this trade a couple times on the channel, but as we can see, it was making a good uptrend off of a huge volume here that just changed the whole characteristic of the stock, and then it started to get very tight, had a shakeout. Then I entered the next day as it cleanly broke through this range, and it just continued to run from there. I actually sold half on this kind of second day here just because I love to take profits early during these kind of market conditions, and it was up a good bit. And then I really just got super lucky. Like, I can't tell you guys exactly what I was thinking on this day, but the stock just didn't look too great. The market didn't look too great, and so I just sold the rest of my position literally almost at the top of this day. So that was not a great trade. I should have just followed my sell rules, but I did luck out on this one because I would have got stopped out right back at break even. But I ended up making around a 32% gain in total on this trade. Next up, we have EDU, another trade I took at the end of July. And as we can see, this thing too had a huge volume on a big move coming in here. It then starts bouncing off the 20, and it just starts getting tight, building this range, making higher lows. And this was just kind of a no-brainer entry right here. 3 tight days right above the 10-day. I entered here. Now, it was before earnings, so I sold some, like, actually I think it was right here. Sorry about that. I sold some before earnings, whichever day that was. Sold half, ended up had a great reaction to earnings, and then it came all the way back down here, and I closed out at this close below a 10-day back at break-even stop loss, but I ended up getting a 3.5%, so obviously could have been much better, but that's just kind of the way that it played out. And yeah, 3.5% could have been worse. Next, we have EMPh. So this was an EP that I took. I don't have the range set here, but clear range, building higher lows, was above the 10-day, and then it gapped up on earnings, good earnings, got in here. I sold a third. This is not a half position. I sold a third right here, and then I closed it out right here. Although it was making higher lows, it broke below the 10, and that's my rule, so I just kind of sold it. Now, normally on a good EP like this, if it was, a decent market, I would definitely hold until the 20-day got broke. But as we can see, it got broke anyway, and now it's kind of coming back into range. But overall, I made a 13.7% gain on this position. Next, we have KDNY, the first loser of this kind of section of trades that I did. And so as we can see, this was kind of a historic range here. It started making higher lows, getting tight. I took the breakout on this day, but it was just too choppy and wasn't in a clean, real clean uptrend yet. And I got stopped out the next day for a 2.5% loss on that position, but it actually ended up continuing to work later on. But yeah, 2.5% loss. All right, next we have AEHR. I've already done a whole video breaking down this trade, but as we can see, tight range, took it here, was in it for just a short-term trade, so I ended up selling half there, but decided to just hold the rest and see what happened. It ended up being a great trade, and this trade netted me, I don't have it written down here, but it's around 20-something% or so. Next we have ALDX, and I've already covered this one in a video too, so make sure to check that out for the full breakdown here. But as you can see, clean uptrend, right above the 200-day, got very tight, gapped up right here. That is where I entered, but it was right before earnings, so I sold some, sold half there, and then finished it when it closed below the 10-day on this day here, I'm pretty sure. Actually, it might have been the day before. One of these 2 days, and it was around a 14% gain on position. I think I sold a little bit more than half by accident, so this should have been a much better trade because, it made a good, 30% move, but either way, 14%, can't complain with that. Next, we have GME. Now, I'm not saying this was a good trade at all. I'm just trying to be real, be honest with you guys. I took this trade. It probably wasn't great. It definitely wasn't great, but it ended up working. So what happened was I saw that it made a huge move here. Meme stocks were kind of making a kind of comeback during some of these periods. Like there was Chinese stocks running like crazy. All kind of stuff was happening. So I saw a little range at GME, and it was right near the 200. So when it broke this range and the 200, I decided to get in on it, and it ended up being a great trade. So I sold half here, almost near the top, and then I sold when it closed below the 10-day. So yeah, around a 16% gain on position on this GameStop trade. All right, next we have SKYX. Now I took this on the hourly. So during this time in the market, there were a lot of Chinese and kind of random stocks just running. And so I was trying to take advantage of that. And I got in here as it was breaking this kind of range here on the hourly. And I sold some in this range. And then I just decided this was just not a great trade. And so I sold the rest when it came back below this 10 moving average on the hourly. And it ended up being the right decision. Not a great trade, but I ended up making almost 10% on this. Next, we have QRTEB. This is the biggest mistake of this kind of 3 weeks. So this was a huge mover, one of those China stocks I was telling you about that just went on a rampage. And then I was trying to trade it actually off the 15-minute, and I thought it was forming a range. Saw it break down. It gapped back in and then gapped over it. So I was like, you know what? Screw it. I'll take this trade. And it was dumb because it instantly gapped straight back down, and I got hit with a 9.3% loss on that position. I don't think it was too big, so it wasn't too detrimental, but that was definitely a stupid trade. Next, we have Mara. This was also not a great trade, but it wasn't horrendous. But basically, made a move off the bottom from 5 all the way up to 13. So it had some power there, and then it was kind of surfing around this 10-day, and I was going to take it through this level, and so I did. But I shouldn't have traded it before earnings anyway, and I got stopped out for a 7.9% loss. I FOMO'd in too, like I got in up here. Not a good trade. I got to cut these out, and I have to do better. So that's something I'll be looking forward to doing and studying during this next kind of downtrend in the overall NASDAQ. Next, we have DVAX, another not a great trade. So this was kind of an EP. It busted up above this range on good earnings, and I decided to take it on opening range, or it might have been actually closer to the end of the day. So I got in here. I sold some the next day because I knew it was a stupid trade. I don't know why I took it. You know, this is this kind of mistakes that I have to cut out if I'm going to get better. And then I sold the rest as it came below stop loss. So I made a 1.2% trade. So I at least didn't let it turn into a loser, which was a bonus. Next, we have QUBT. So as I looked at this stock, I saw a huge volume, huge move from 1.2 all the way up to 4, and then it started steadily just uptrending, kind of surfing all the way up to the 10, surfing the 10, put in 2 tight days, and I bought it through this range. Not the cleanest setup, but I've seen some of these in some of my older studies. I've seen these work really well, so I was hoping that's what I could get into, and obviously not great, but I sold some up here. And then I kind of got shaken out on this day. I did not follow my sell rules, but I just sold because I didn't like how it was looking. So I got to get better at following my rules and being more disciplined. That's something I'm going to work on. But yeah, I sold it for around an 8.1% gain on my position there. Next, we have Beam. So if you're looking, this is one of those that I put out in the newsletter. You can sign up for that in the description if you haven't yet. But it was looking clean. It was definitely choppy. And that's what I looked back on this trade. I thought, you know what? I should not have taken this trade. I got too excited about it. Simply for the fact that it made a crazy move in the past. Like I was hoping to catch one of these, and I should have known this was just not the right market and not the right stock for it. It wasn't clean. But I took it nonetheless. So I got in this day, and I actually lessened my position. So this, I don't know if this is accurate or not, but I sold some the next day after it just had a nasty reversal, and then I sold the rest as it came through my break-even stop loss. So I've been doing a decent job during this period of not letting stocks turn around and come back to bite me, but I've just not been great at getting any kind of returns necessarily. So I need to work on that. Next, we have STKL. Now this trade, man, it looked really good because it's just clean uptrend here, very nice range, gapped out on earnings, but I simply just FOMO'd in. Like the range was so loose by the time it broke through on that 5-minute candle. Should not have taken it. But anyways, I did. It ended up working a little bit for a couple days and then just started coming right back, and I sold 0.4% over break even. So another stupid trade. Like I FOMO'd into this. That was a mistake. All right, next we have GLNG, one of my best trades in this period. Now, I took this based off the weekly chart, and so the weekly looked really good. I saw it just had some nice momentum going here, and it was consolidating here. And so on the daily, I wanted to take it here, but I wanted to wait for earnings. So after earnings, I decided, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and get in on the party here, and I did, and it's been a great trade so far. So I sold half the other day, up about 13%. and we're currently still holding half a position up around 17%. So if it closes below a 10-day anytime soon, it'll be around a 15% gain on position. Next, we have CVLG, and I took this trade, another stupid trade. I knew that it needed more time, but I took it through this range anyway, right where this arrow is. And as I should have been, I got stopped out 2 days later, and for a negative 2.8% loss. But yeah, it's kind of setting up again now, making a little bit of some higher lows. So we'll see if this thing can continue its uptrend later. And lastly, the best trade I had of this period was BBBY. So as you can see from the meme stock video, I took this trade as it broke through this range on the hourly. I then played it to perfection pretty much. I sold some the next day up at the top of kind of the open, sold half there. I then sold another piece after it had ran just huge bars there. I sold some, and then I sold the rest when it closed below the 10 on the hourly chart. So this netted me 61.3% on my position there. So this was by far my best trade. A little bit of adaptation of the call Maggie style just on the hourly chart. So that's it. That is pretty much all the trades I've taken. There's a couple I probably missed, but I want to keep this video kind of short for y'all. So let's go over. The batting average I had for this period was 51.4%. So very good batting average as far as like having winners to losers, but you'll see why that was here right now. And that is because the average gain was 11.6% and my average loss was 4.7%. So the things that I did good during this period is I made really good job at kind of taking profits, moving stops up, and not letting stocks turn into losers. But at the same time, I did not have great profit taking as far as, getting the most out of the moves that I could have. And that reflected in my average gain being only 11.6 and my loss being negative 4.7. But overall, I'm not too mad about these results, but I'm hoping to improve them. That's what we should always be doing, trying to improve. And it looks like we're going to get that because if we look at the NASDAQ, it seems to be making another leg down. So this is when we really need to start studying our trading and getting prepared for that next good period, that next, uptrend in the markets. But I hope you guys got some value from this video. Make sure to join our Discord where we learn and talk about stocks every day. And I'll see you in the next video.